If you've been on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Reels, chances are you've probably seen this girl. Meet Bobbi Althoff, a girl with over 700,000 subscribers with only 6 videos and 6 YouTube Shorts. That's right, you heard that correctly. An insane following with a lack of quantity and content and only being around since June 1st. So let's dive into this mystery and crack the code of where did Bobbi Althoff come from. The first piece of content that grazed my YouTube Shorts feed, and honestly probably yours too, was her Drake interview. At first I didn't think anything of it. I saw Drake and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. A day or two goes by and I see Bobbi again, this time with Lil Yachty, then Funny Marco, then Tyga, then Mark fucking Cuban. After the Mark Cuban interview is when I finally put my foot down and said, alright, I'm gonna check out this girl's channel. I need to see what's going on. These are some pretty like big names. The only thing is, these are her only videos, with a few exceptions. At first, I thought the YouTube algorithm was simply just like choosing her, I guess. Like, I don't know, they really liked her content or people really liked her content. But to me, something wasn't adding up. And probably to you guys too. The unorganic growth this channel was having, it was something I'd never seen before. And getting superstars like Drake on just your 4th episode just doesn't make any sense at all. So surely there's some ginormous external following that I'm missing here. And there is. So let's jump to TikTok real quick and go back to June of 2021 where Bobbi uploaded her first TikTok. Currently standing at 1.8 million views, this is actually one of her weaker videos. I mean, she averages crazy view counts on this page. Fast forward to today where she has 6 million followers, which is an insane following. However, getting these followers to migrate to YouTube this fast or even at all is extremely difficult. So back to the unorganic growth I was talking about. I don't think it's as unorganic as I thought initially. Let's assume your viewing experience was similar to me where you saw Drake, then Tyga, then Lil Yachty, and Mark Cuban. These are some pretty massive names in pop culture and kind of names anyone can recognize, so you're probably more likely to subscribe because you're anticipating more guests like that to be on the show, which is probably gonna happen. The question everyone has now is how did she even get these people on her show in the first place despite being such a small channel? Maybe not even small, I would just say new channel. And this is where the industry plant allegations begin. What is an industry plant, you might ask? According to loudandquiet.com, an industry plant is largely accepted to mean an artist who presents themselves as being independent and doing things on their own terms, but secretly has the industry backing and money to fund them and to artificially shape such a narrative. So basically the definition ranges from just coming from a family and essentially buying your way to fame. Maybe you have a small following or someone sees potential in you, like a record label or in this case a production or PR team. Then they fund and supply all the necessities to become successful. The latter is what I think is happening to Bobbi. So when you're secretly backed by an agency who knows how to cut corners and knows the industry inside and out and able to pull strings, that is how you land people like Drake on your 4th episode of your brand new podcast. In my opinion, there's absolutely nothing wrong with utilizing these connections. I mean, she's clearly reaping wonderful benefits because of it. However, when she's trying to act like she's all independent and kind of like a go-getter, that's where it gets silly to me. For example, it's public knowledge that she's signed to WME Talent Agency, and when she was asked about the Drake interview, she has no mention of that.
But yeah, then Drake liked one of the videos I had uploaded and he followed me. I didn't realize it at first. Marco called me and he was like, Bobbi, look who just followed you. So I filtered it to verified only people. And I was like, oh my God, like why would he follow me? He's like, he liked the video. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna shoot my shot to Drake. I don't know how this, I thought the chance of him replying was like a 1%, and then the chance of him saying yes was like 0.000. Yeah. I was like, there's no way. So I was like, come on my podcast. I said, when are you going to come on my podcast?
And he
said,
game right away.
He was ready to do it. I flew out there I think 3 days later.
Wow. Bull fucking shit. You mean to tell me that your agency had absolutely nothing to do with contacting Drake? You're just flat out lying, and that's the problem I have here. Trying to create this relatable and independent narrative that just couldn't be further from the truth. Moving on, she talks about money on the show. Like, a lot.
Can I have $40,000? I just want $40,000. Do you have a lot of money? You know, I paid $1,800 for us to do this here. I just think that you should give me $20,000. How much money means nothing to you?
You like money a lot.
She also talks about how she's poor, and it's honestly just super cringe.
Because
I learned that from your last interview.
Yeah, well, I don't have any.
You live in Newport Beach, though, right?
I live in Laguna Beach.
Oh, Laguna Beach.
I spend 100% of the money I make on my rent.
Let's just remove the podcast from the situation entirely. Let's assuming it does. Let's just assume it doesn't make any money. It doesn't exist. We can even assume it loses a little bit of money. She's married to Corey Althoff, who's a self-taught software developer and a successful author who wrote 2 books about software development. He's apparently senior vice president of software development at CompTIA. So I mean, like, honestly, pretty prestigious job. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. I mean, like, he's very talented, obviously. But there's even one report saying his net worth is 15 million. Also, I'm well aware that network statistics are like super inaccurate. So basically what I'm trying to say here is when Bobbi says these things, it's just completely ridiculous. And this could be her playing into like the deadpan humor that is in her podcast. So maybe she's just like trying to like be that quirky, relatable girl again. But regardless, I still think that's kind of a slap to the face to people actually living in poverty. There's a clip of her talking about being in debt.
I don't have any money.
None?
At all. I have debt, actually.
You have debt? How much debt do you have?
Right now, I have like $20,000 of debt.
That sucks. Is that from school or is that from...
No, from my podcast.
Oh, for your podcast? What'd you borrow money for?
I didn't. Well, I just borrowed it from the bank to, like, I put it on a credit card. Just every episode that I film, I spend a lot of money on.
Wow.
But I haven't made any
money. Why
money.
don't you come to me and like investors instead of having to borrow?
Because I wanted to have full ownership of it myself.
Which, if all this is true, either 1, you're just being taken advantage of, 2, you're extremely financially illiterate and make terrible decisions, and 3, you're just trying to feed into that independent oppressed pity party that you created. Furthermore, feeding into that independent narrative, she's always talking about how she's pouring more money back into her podcast, which is great, but also like, weird flex. As of recently, she just removed the Drake interview, which has caused a lot of speculation, obviously. I think it could be a number of things, but I really don't think it's worth like making any crazy speculations. I mean, you know, some people are saying like it's a disagreement with the PR team and her, or it's like a disagreement with Drake and her, or Drake and the PR team. You know, it just goes on and on, but I think that's just something we should let fizzle out. As far as the actual podcast itself, I mean, it does nothing wrong. I mean, it's just like any other podcast. For me personally, her voice is turned into like nails on a chalkboard to me. Her delivery is just like, I don't know, something about it just drives me crazy. Maybe it's because I watched so many clips leading up to this video, I just heard a lot of it, but I just cannot stand it. I mean, some people seem to love her, and it's nothing against her. It's more so against just like the whole fabrication, which we've talked about on this channel before about podcasts. But I will leave you with one more thing. I undoubtedly think that Bobbi Althoff is 100% an industry plant in the podcast scene. But comment what you think. Maybe I'm wrong. If you liked, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. And thank you so much for watching. Check out my other content.